What's up, Terrifics? I'm Michael Artsis. This is the Michael Artsis Show. Welcome to Be Terrific, at Be Terrific TV on all social media. Connect at BeTerrific.com if you want to join our Slack chat 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, real-time conversation with us, you, and the rest of the Terrifics. We love it, so keep it coming. And, of course, you can send your feedback there. Now, today we have a very special guest. I am so excited because, you know, I love music and I love inspirational stories, and this is both. And there's a whole lot in between. We're going to talk about all of it. We've got one of the founding members of Three Dog Night here, Chuck Negron. Chuck, thanks so much for joining us. I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you. I'm terrific.
Well, you know what? You are terrific because your story is very inspirational. And that's what Be Terrific's about. It's about being positive, being creative, and being inspired. And I think that, you know, you've had such a great career starting with Three Dog Night, and then now you're inspiring people even further. But even one of the first songs out of Three Dog Night, you guys started in 1967.
Yes.
In 69, you had your first hit,
Yes.
One. And then you've got, you know, Joy to the World, which I was listening to this morning as I was preparing, and I love that song. I've always loved that song. And I was listening to it again, you know, I haven't listened to it in a little while, and it just made me so happy, and I realized this is really inspirational. And you had, you know, it's Joy to the World, and it's Jeremiah was a bullfrog, and I'm sorry, I don't want to ruin the song. I definitely can't sing, but how did you guys come up with that?
Well, actually, a friend of ours, Hoyt Axon, who was a folk singer originally, and then he went on to write some great songs. He presented the song to us, and we really didn't feel, well, not me, but the other two singers didn't feel it was for us, so they turned it down. I wasn't there, so I didn't hear it. And Hoyt came by and played it again for the band, and I heard it, except it was at that point, Jeremiah was a prophet. So, you know, I don't think that would have went well. So asked him to change it up, and I decided I'm just going to go in the studio and work on it. And the next thing we know, we worked up the Joy to the World, and you know, it's just, we had no idea it was going to be. I thought it was a hit record, but I had no idea it was going to become the 1971 record of the year. It's #1 for 6 weeks.
I know, it's amazing.
Just freaky. 2 Grammys nominations, you know, just amazing.
And to this day, I still think it's an anthem for inspiration and for people to get excited. I mean, it's still played all the time.
Yeah, well, the positive sentiment being joy to the world. I mean, we mean everybody, including the fish. You know, I mean, that's how much we mean. Joy to the fishes and the deep blue sea, joy to you and me. It's a very special, inspirational message in the sense that we are telling people to love one another, enjoy one another.
Do you think that today music misses that a little bit? There's not much music that is giving an inspirational message out there, especially mainstream music.
Yeah, well, you know, it's hard to fit that in with big booties. You know what I mean? It's just, it's difficult.
Yeah.
So at any rate, no, I don't hear much of it. Of course, you do in Christian music.
Right.
And there's some great Christian music. And it's actually a shame that more of it isn't being played. But in the genre, the mainstream, no, you don't hear it. You don't hear it.
It's interesting. When I was starting out in radio, I had a show on a radio station called WGBB. And I don't know, following my show, there was a guy who did Christian music. And I had this idea that Christian music was, you know, a church choir, and that's all it was, and that's what we would hear. Yeah. And one night he couldn't make it, or he was late. And I said, okay, well, I can't just walk out of the radio station and leave dead air, so I'll go there, and what am I going to do? Well, I'm not going to do my show, I'll do his show. So I started spinning his CDs and records, and I didn't know I just took I didn't know anything about it, so I just took a record off the shelf and played it, and I went, what is this? I was expecting some church choir to be singing, and I was blown away. And I think that's part of the reason is that people have this connotation that it's one thing, but it's really, it falls into all genres of music. It's country, it's hip hop, it's rock, it's pop.
It's grunge, heavy metal. I mean, you know, screaming, you know, about God. It is. It's a very good point, because people, I think, are misunderstand it as you did, that it's just choral or preachers, and it's not.
Right. No, absolutely. You guys had a very different sound when you came out. How hard was it to break through, to get a record deal, and to kind of get radio airtime, having this different sound that I'm sure at first the labels and the record companies were like, I don't know if this will work out?
Well, when the three of us, when we got together and the first time we sang, something happened that was, very spiritual in nature. Something happened that could not happen ever again unless the three of us sang together. And it was so obvious that we thought we had something, and we went out there. What we did was we rented the Troubadour and invited all the record companies. So we got a deal immediately. I mean, people wanted us. Ahmet Ertegun from Atlantic, and he brought Robert Stigwood, the big manager at that time, and they wanted to sign us, and we ended up going with ABC Dunhill. So no, we were signed immediately.
How did you come up with that idea? That seems crazy to me, and it seems very innovative to say, hey, we're basically going to hold our own tryout and invite all the record labels down in one place and almost let them fight over us.
Well, they were either going to walk out or they're going to want us to fight over us. And, we just thought it was a better way to do it than opposed to this. I felt this. Going to one record company, and if they pass, the word is out, they passed. So who's going to take you after that? Right. Oh, they passed. You going to take them? So I felt, let's find out right away. And, we did it, and we got that day we got a deal.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was great.
That's amazing.
We were very lucky.
It's funny, I often think of Kickstarter, the crowdfunding site like that.
Yes.
And I say, if you go on Kickstarter, you've got a product idea. It could be the best product idea in the world, but if you don't market it right, or people don't know about it, they're not going to jump on it. And then if you go to raise money to get this thing going after you failed on Kickstarter, well, any investor would say, well, I mean,
they don't want it.
You failed. Nobody wants it, clearly, because you didn't sell enough.
Yeah. So that was my theory on that. And, it wasn't that, in alone with that. Everyone thought, you know what, you're right. That's a good idea. Let's try it. And, thank God it worked out for us. And we had a great band. All we did was rehearse. We had no money. So we spent all our time rehearsing, learning new songs. And so when we went out and played, we just really kicked it, because we knew what we were doing.
What was it like? What was it like being, basically being rock stars at that time? Because I imagine being a rock star would be the greatest thing on earth. I mean, it'd just be so fun. You inspire people. You get instant feedback from the audience, and you get to tour the world. And it must have been so amazing.
It was wonderful, and the most profound thing for me was that people were loving what we did, loving my voice, loving the music we all made together, and that, oh my God, I found something, I can do. So it was a very, very powerful thing.
Does it go to your head at all?
No. Yes. It's pretty hard when you're in your 20s and. They're just girls everywhere, and they're literally maneuvering to get to you.
Yeah.
And some of them are bolder than others, and so it's a world. I came from the 50s. Where girls had armor, girdles, and, body armor on. So this was a whole another thing for me, and it was very, very exciting, very romantic, and. You felt like a king. It was the best time in my life.
I could imagine.
Yeah.
I think it must be amazing. So now, at some point, then you become sober.
Yes.
I always think that's so interesting. My father became sober when I was 13.
Oh, good.
And I'm just so drawn to. So early on, he took me to some meetings. Wow. And I've always been so drawn to how somebody goes through that and stays with it, because I think it's so hard for people. So how were you able to stay with it?
Well, it took a long time. It was 13 years, 37 rehabs.
Wow, 37
rehabs. I just could not get it. And finally I was going to go to jail, and had to go to cry help this long-term year. Or go to jail, and so I took the rehab, and this rehab was just unbelievable. It was barracks. There was no air conditioning, no heat. It was the last house on the block, and they had a lot of prison people that were brought after prison, went to cry help, and so the really a crowd I wasn't used to. But then they were just regular people, and it changed my life. It changed my life. These people loved me in spite of how angry I was. How did I end up here? How did I end up with nothing? How do you do this? And someone told me, this guy that worked with me, he said, only an alcoholic and a drug addict could figure out how to do that.
I remember I went to a meeting once, and a guy, and this was, I think, the thing that was so interesting to me is, and I think you found this, right? You're a rock star at this thing with inmates and all sorts of stuff. And I went to a meeting, and a guy said, well, I was a speechwriter for Reagan. And I just was like blown away. Here's a guy in my mind at the time, I was a kid, that's like the highest position you could really have other than being president.
Yeah.
And he was in this meeting, and I just said, wow, this could affect anybody, and it has nothing to do with what walk of life you are.
Oh, anybody.
Anything.
The guy that wrote Cuckoo's Nest was a counselor there.
Really?
Oh yeah, he'd gone through the place and stayed and went to university and got his degrees and came back, as a therapist. So, and a lot of people Sly Stone from Sly and the Family Stone. He completed right before I got there, and so there was a lot of people. I'll tell you. I was one day. They said, you're going to go out tonight. You're eligible to go out. In this place, you could not get a phone call, use the phone, or call anybody for 60 days. You could not have a visit for 90 days. It's, not like today. You go in, you call in when you want. She said, but you're going to get picked up tonight, and because we want you to go out, and it was Steve Perry. Wow. From Journey. He picked me up.
Wow.
Yeah, he said, I didn't know who I was going to pick up. I just wanted to take someone out and give them a meal. I can't believe it's you, So it was a wonderful program.
And then, how proud are you that it's 25 years later and you've been able to stay
sober? I'll be honest. I prayed to God to let me die or remove the obsession to drink and use. And I fell asleep, and when I woke up, it was gone.
Wow. It
was gone. So I don't really see me being responsible for anything. I really believe God intervened. It was removed, the obsession. And then I did the work that was put in front of me. That was my part. All the tools, all the information and literature that I needed to read and utilize to keep me sober, I did. And then all the other things, working with others, I worked with so many people, and it kept me sober. And I was blessed to be able to remain sober.
Were you always spiritual?
No, I always knew there was a God. And when I was a kid, I remember praying about something, and I even wondered why I was praying. My sister and I were put in an orphanage when we were 8. So that I remember that night, God, please, what's going on? Please, my mother throw us away, and all this, all this stuff. And I remember thinking, why are you praying to God? And then what came back to me, because you believe in God. So
your mother gave you up?
Yes. Well, my mother was 19 when she had twins, and that's the 40s.
Sure.
And my father and her didn't make it, and she got to the point where I was having trouble in school because I was dyslexic and ADD, and of course back then you were just trouble.
Yeah.
You were a troubled kid, and she couldn't take care of me. She worked all the time. So, my sister and I made our own food all the time. She was never there. She worked.
Sure.
So the point came when she felt bad about it, I guess, and she just said, I can't take care of you. So.
But you couldn't. How old were you? You were like 8. How could you? You could have never even understood that.
No. No, she never even told me. She just took me there one day. Never told me why or where we were going. She just took me and then left.
I don't even know how you get past that.
Well, I haven't. I'm pretty messed up. No, but and then she a little over 2 years later she came back and she got us, and she said, I went to school, got a degree, we got a really good job now, and she had a steady job, and she had the rest of her life. working for Aramco or Arabian American.
Did
Oil
you
Company.
you stayed in touch with her?
No, she came and got us.
But I mean, from then on, you stayed in touch with her?
I lived with her.
Wow.
Yeah, we lived with her until, although the second I got out of high school, I left and never came back.
I'd imagine you'd have to feel like she didn't want you. She just came back.
I believe she didn't.
Right, but I mean, how does an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old now process that?
To this day, I believe, she just really didn't know how to deal with it and decided not to.
Is that where you think your anger stemmed from? Where you got all your anger?
Well, there was stuff in that place. We had a guy that came on at noon. He came, and then he left. He spent the night with us. And one night I went to the bathroom. When I got out of the bathroom, I heard all this talking and kind of, it sounded like physicality. I thought maybe it's a fight. So I walked behind these, what do they call them? Lockers. Lockers where we kept all our belongings and stuff. And this man, I was hurting this kid, and I took a step further, and I saw something that I had no idea what it was, and he was molesting the kid. And so I was petrified of this man until, and that made me very angry, until finally I decided I'm not taking all this shit, excuse my language, and I turned him in.
Wow.
And then he got fired, and I took kind of control of my life, and I went, I'm going to have to take care of myself. And I have, and every good thing I've had, how well I did in college and basketball and Three Dog Night was based on me never having to depend on anybody. So although I did good, there was baggage, and probably that's why the first time I did drugs, it just removed all of that. And for the first time in my life, when I did drugs, because I'd never done drugs before,
yeah,
I was relieved of this bondage, of old information.
So first of all, I mean, turning somebody in has got to be the hardest thing in the world.
Yeah, yeah.
And the bravest thing, and very important.
Well, what happened? There's a couple of reasons. As I said, I took kind of control of my life. He only like the 8 and 9-year-olds. He didn't bother. 10 and 11, and my group went up to 11, and so that was his group. So the kids that he was messing around with were really uptight that I knew. So they had a field day on me, put a blanket over me in it, sleep, and beat me up pretty good.
They gave you a blanket party.
Yeah, blanket party. Is that what they call it?
That's what they call it. Yeah.
They beat me up, pretty good. And then I learned how to defend myself by taking one at a time. And then I realized, what, I'm turning this guy out, I'm not taking this crap.
Wow.
And I did, but it's all quiet stuff. It wasn't macho.
It is macho because it's so hard.
It was all scared. I was scared.
No, but you were scared to turn the guy in to do it.
I was scared of everything.
Yeah.
But I did it, and when my mom came and got me, it was like, this is wonderful.
Do you think that was part of the reason she came and got you? Maybe they reached out to her and said...
They did reach out to her.
They did.
I don't know if that had anything to do with it, because my mother... This was a generation, my mother's generation, people that had secrets, they never talked about it. So she never told me...
She never talked to you about this?
No, when I talked to her about it one time, she started to slap me because it was so disgusting. She said, that's disgusting. And then she realized that what it happened. Wow. And she stopped herself.
Yeah.
She said, but I don't want to hear about that again.
And she probably felt guilty.
I'm sure she did. Yeah. My mother was a good woman. She was left on a corner. Her and my uncle, her brother, her mother said, I'll be right back, and didn't come back.
Oh, my God.
So,
how old was she?
Oh, she was younger than me.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so you're very independent at a young age. You're fending for yourself. You get the idea that you have to fend for yourself.
Yeah.
And do you take care of your sister?
No, she takes care of me.
She takes care of you.
Yeah.
And when did you get into music?
I got into music when I was 14. By the time I was 15, I was in this group, the Rondells, and we made a couple of records, and we got some play in the city here, and we played the Apollo, and we played several clubs in Harlem. We just went in and came out because we were too young to stay. We had one kid that was 14.
Wow.
And it was a wonderful experience. But I was also playing ball. So by the time I became a senior here in New York, I was all-city basketball player, and I got several deals. So I stopped singing. But when I got to California, my first year I got a record deal. My second year I got another record deal. And my third year, Columbia Records, biggest record company in the world, signed me. And I left college and started my own solo career.
How did you get those deals?
There were two guys in one of the classes, music, because I minored in music. And, you know, we would jam and sing all these songs of the day. And it was a lot of fun. And one night, all the basketball team went to this big concert that they were having. And I looked at it, is that the same guys? And they were brothers. They had 5 brothers, Sorensen brothers. And they invited me up on the stage. So I sang a couple of songs. The promoter saw me. He said, look, I'd like to book you with Sorensen brothers and any other band you want to play. So I was playing with 3 bands. And, you know, the word gets out. People come and see you. They offer you a record deal. So college was a pretty hot time in my life. I mean, I'm playing basketball. I'm getting signed with record companies. It was and plus I was modeling.
All right, wait a second, hold on. So your life seems pretty good at this point. You're not a rock star yet, but you're singing.
Yeah.
You're playing basketball and you're modeling.
Yeah.
And I imagine you got scholarship to go play basketball.
Oh yeah. I got actually Utah State. The following year, I didn't go. They won the NCAA championship.
How many girls did you write songs for at that point?
None. I was busy. It's very busy. I didn't drive. The only dates I went on to, I was picked up at the dorms and the girls drove.
Wow.
I didn't have a car till I was 24.
That's a good line, though, I think. Honey, I don't drive. Pick me up.
Yeah. Pick me up.
I'll be ready at 8. That's unbelievable. And then how do you get together with the 3 Dog Night, with the other 2 guys from 3 Dog Night?
I leave college. Yeah. I'm on Columbia, and we're working on some stuff, and I'm seeing that the interest is starting to wane. That it's losing the glow as, is going. So I started hitting the strip, and one night I was on the strip, and these girls came up and said, "You want to go to a party for Donovan Leitch?" And I went, "Sure, I'd love, And we went, and Danny Hutton, one of the 3 Dog Night guys, was there, and he had a big hit called "Roses and Rainbows" in California, big hit. And we became friends. We hung out, and and so he ended up a couple of years later doing something with Corey Wells, who was in a group called The Enemies, and they did a tour with Sonny and Cher, and they decided to do something together. And Danny said, "You know what? We should call this guy Chuck. I'm telling him, he can sing." And they called me up, and boom.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history. Yeah.
Now, were you with 3 Dog Night when the first time you did drugs?
Yes, I had never done drugs, in my life, and Danny did. Danny was pretty into, a lot more sophisticated than I was, about drugs. I had taken some cough syrup and stuff like that, but nothing. And I'd never been drunk in my life. So, at any rate, little by little, you turn on the drugs, and I was just an addict, an alcoholic. And the second I took one, I wanted 10 of them, and.
I also got to imagine, though, it's so hard. You're touring all over the place. You're singing. You're having fun afterwards. You're working your tail off.
Yeah.
And you have to get up every night to do it. You really have to get up. Yeah. It's not like, oh, hey, I'll just sing the songs now. You really got to do it. It kind of helps you, I would imagine.
Well, the thing is, started the downers to go to sleep.
Because you're all charged up from the euphoria.
You're jacked up. Yeah. Then we started the coke to get up because of the downers.
Yeah.
And, next thing you know, Danny and I literally bought 5,000 Second-Alls. It came in a pillowcase. I mean, it was like amazing how many pills. And we split them, and the year from hell. We walked around like zombies. I don't know what we were thinking of. But at any rate, and a lot of cocaine.
Yeah. Wow. That's unbelievable. So what happened? How did you guys wind up breaking up?
By 73, Danny was really having some problems, and he was getting sick, and he was jaundice, and we had to hire a nurse, which I thought, this is weird. Why just put the guy in the hospital? But they did want to stop touring. So they literally had a registered nurse giving him 12 shots, helping him out, and by the time we got back, he just stopped showing up for for records and, you know, come on and do one song and then disappear. And the sad thing was, we had to let him go. You know, Corey just said, I don't want him around anymore. Because Corey didn't do drugs, and, you know, he just was a hard worker. You know, Corey was a world-class fly fisherman.
Wow.
Yeah, he fly fished us everywhere we went.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So you continue to inspire people. You wind up getting sober, and to this day you're inspiring people. You've got Negron Generations. It's the new album.
Oh,
you did
my
it,
girls, yes.
You did it with your daughters.
Yes, I know. I was such a...
Charlie and Annabelle.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
they look like they look like you did a great job. It seems like you did a great job
They're
raising
good
them.
girls, and they have good mothers.
Yeah.
And we had a wonderful time to share that. My Charlie, the older one, who was 21 when we started the record, 23 now, she started singing with me on stage, and when she was 10, she did the Hollywood Bowl with me, 17,000 people.
Wow.
So she loved it. It was a part of her DNA, and her voice is special. She's really, really, really talented. Not to say my other girl isn't, but she was much younger. She was 13 when she started the album, and now she's 16. And she loved it, and she did the same thing. It was kind of a family tradition. The kids came up and they sang, and I went, oh, God, she's really good. So she was really good, and you know, when I was doing this album, I just decided I didn't want to miss any time with Annabelle, because she was starting to have to stay with her mother, and when she was supposed to be staying with me, and I didn't want to miss that time. So I said, you know what, I should get them involved. And we got them involved, and the harmonies they did, and the solos they did, and they saw me in another light, and they liked it. They liked what they saw.
You must be proud of them.
I'm very proud. And they're good, you know, they're really nice girls. They're totally unaffected kids, you know.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is how do you raise kids that are completely unaffected?
You lock them up, especially if they're girls.
I would say that's a good plan.
Everyone gets locked up at your age.
I like that. That's a good plan. And so you also have 3 never released before Three Dog Night songs on the album as well.
Yeah, in the 60s, or actually it was the 70s, Jay Lasker, the president of ABC Dunhill, the company we were on, we went in because it was time to get another bump in royalties, because we were going through the roof one more time. And he said, you know, I've talked to ABC, and no one has even gotten close to what you guys are getting, and we're not going up. So I was so upset I threw a piece of candy at him. He's the president, you know, I hit him in the head.
What, like a little piece of candy?
Yeah, no, he had a bowl of those little suckers.
Yeah.
So I just, you know, it was half planned and half I want to hit this guy, you know. But I had to do something because I couldn't just settle. So I hit him in the head. He asked everyone to leave. He said, you stay. And he was so cool. What he did was, when they left, he said, man, you can't do that to me. I'm the president. He said, you know, what do you want? And I said, I want something. I don't want to end up in nothing. So I said, I want the masters. And he said, can't give it the masters. He said, you know what I can do? After this album you're completing right now, any album you do after that is yours. He thought it was over for the band. We did 7 more albums with Old Fashioned Love Song, one hit after another. So in 2000, they all reverted back to Danny, Corey, and me, independent. We could each do whatever we wanted to. We owned them, but independent of each other. And the record company didn't have those 3 songs, because they had a fire and burn it down. The copies I had it. I'm the only one that has them.
Wow.
So, you know, had them baked, listened to them, went, oh, these are fantastic, and decided to put them on this record.
And I imagine you had them on tape at this point, or something.
Big
reel-to-reel tape.
Took me a week to find a machine that would play it.
I could imagine.
I mean, old stuff.
Yeah. And it still sounded amazing.
Well, I baked the tapes, so you got it because they're 20 years old.
You put them, like, literally put them in an oven?
Yeah, they you know, whatever process it is, and it was fine. It was fine. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it worked.
And you must be proud of your daughters.
Oh, you know what? My daughters are great, and the younger one, Annabelle, when it was all over, she said, you know, no, this is not what I want to do. She said, you know, it was fun, and I always thought it was what I wanted to do, but it's not. And now she's wants to be a psychologist. So we'll see, and I'm hoping we can do some shows together.
I think it's awesome. You guys are touring 50
Yeah.
dates.
Yeah, well, I'm doing with the Happy Together tour, with the Association, the Cowsills, the Turtles, Flo and Eddie, the Box Tops, and Ron Dante. We've got 20 shows left. We've been out the whole summer, and this has been made so much easier for me because about a year ago, I was told I could no longer perform without oxygen. It would be a danger to my heart and my brain. So my manager found these glasses.
I was going to ask you about these glasses
Yeah.
actually, because you continue to inspire people through everything you do, through your music and through every part of life. You've got your daughter's involved now. I think that's an inspiration. You've got a great story to tell, and you've got a book which we're going to talk about in
Yeah.
its 5th printing. But realistically, these glasses are one of the biggest things you're talking about, and you're not involved. You're just talking about them
Yeah,
to
not
inspire
involved, yeah.
people
Yeah.
because you were told, hey, you need oxygen if you're going to continue to perform.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can't really have oxygen and perform the traditional way.
Well, no, it'd make people uncomfortable.
Right.
Yeah. So no, you're right.
And so you've got, these are called OxyView,
Yeah, OxyView.
and you can barely see them. I imagine the viewers can see them, but they're little tubes on the frames of the glasses that come out of the frames of the glasses
Yeah.
and go into your nose. And so Amy, your manager, found these.
Yes. Yes. Well, what it was when we found out I had to use it, I told them, I said, I'm going to retire because I'm not using a cannula. I'm not doing that to people. Don't feel sorry for me. Or she found these, and now it opened the door for me to carry around an oxygen thing. And if I need to put me in a wheelchair, I can walk, but put me in a wheelchair to save, my energy. It's kind of, I became more humble by a simple experience of going through, doing what I needed to do to get where I wanted to go, and accept that I have to do it. I have to do this.
But I think you're inspiring a lot of people to realize that sometimes they might have an ailment or a disability, and you have to overcome and find a way to overcome.
Yeah, well, we were talking earlier. I was on a cruise, and I was doing a question and answer with several artists, and this woman came up after the session. She said, my husband just wanted to tell you how much he loves you, and he's idolized you for years. And I said, where is he? And he said, oh, he's in the room. He wears a cannula and he won't come out. And I said, did you see the glasses? And she said, well, I noticed something. But I said, and I told her what they were, and changed this guy's life. Amy, my manager, Amy just met someone at a show who hadn't been out in years, and with his new glasses and a little, oxygen thing. And so, yeah, it's sometimes you just give people a little nudge, and the right person carrying the message can help a lot of people. Now, I have nothing to do with the company. I don't get a penny. I'm doing this because I think it's important that people have information.
It is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. You love performing still?
Oh God, what happened when I started using this? I was able to use more oxygen. In other words, I had to use a tank, so I said, why don't I get a tank that really gives a lot of oxygen? And then Amy found a better one. My manager found a better one, and we found out that it could accept even more oxygen. And I did a show a week ago in Mohegan Sun, and I was hitting notes I haven't hit in years because I wasn't having to close up and breathe. It was just one constant flow, and it was such a joy to hear some of myself again.
That's phenomenal. And I love that you're inspiring people to really, overcome and keep moving and keep living life. It's freeing.
Take care of business and move on.
Yeah. So you've also got Three Dog Nightmares in its 5th printing.
We're that's going to be out this fall, and I wrote 11 chapters, actually all by myself without any, because most of these things are done with assistance from very competent writers. But I wanted everything to be in my tone, and because they were personal. They were about Corey Wells, who passed away, and Jimmy Greenspoon, who passed away, and a chapter about my twin sister who passed away, and from cancer. Most of them, they all passed away from cancer. And so it's a very, very important, and during the process, this is difficult, during the process of sponsoring people in my program, helping, passing on, one of the guys finally one day told me, I knew there was something holding him back, something that he wasn't revealing that was really killing him. And finally, one day, and I didn't pressure him to say it, I just said, make sure you don't have any secrets, because that one secret, well, it's going to get you. And then one day he said he was molested. And he told me a thing, and he said, and you know him. I said, what? He said, you know who did it. So anyway, that happened. Then another guy came. And it was the same deal and the same guy. So I wrote a chapter in the book about this guy, and I outed him. He's outed now. I mean, as soon as the book is out, he's going to be outed. I'll probably get sued, but it's facts, and it's actually police reports. He's been turned in.
Wow.
So
this is the second time in your life you've helped people who are being molested.
Yeah. Well, the first time I was just so scared.
Yeah.
And I didn't like him. I didn't like that he made me so scared, and that he was making these kids scared. But
you probably didn't like what he was. Well, you just said it. You hated what he was doing. Yeah.
These kids, they didn't look like they were having fun.
Right. I mean, well, you just said he was making the kids so scared. And that's why he was making you scared. You didn't want to be next, and you didn't want.
No, I didn't want to be next. Yeah. And so anyway, so that's a chapter that's going to. It's called "All the Signs Were There." Wow. That is really going to going to stir some.
And I imagine it was hard to write because of your friends who went through this, but also because it probably brought you back to the orphanage. In revealing why I wrote the chapter, I go through the whole story of what happened, and how close it could have been for me, and so why it was important that, and also that the signs were all there, that I could turn a blind eye to what was going on in that studio with all the kids that came and went. So anyway, I wrote the story now, and hopefully anyone who has been assaulted by this man, he's not an assault, he's a right.
I don't know how they do it, but and he was in a position of celebrity, so.
I can never figure that out, and I never understand why anybody would want to, and it's a horrible, horrible thing, and I'm so proud of you and glad that you did it both times.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. It's not going to be an easy road for me once it's
the book comes out this fall.
This fall, yeah.
Well, we'd love to have you back on then.
Sure.
Talk about the book, and I'll
do
absolutely
it from
read
jail.
You're not going to jail. You're a hero for doing this. And by the way, just be a defamation suit. You just have to write the guy a check. You don't go to jail for that.
And defamation, it's got to be false.
Right. The burden is on him to prove that it's false.
Yeah.
And I'm no lawyer. Don't take my advice.
I've actually talked to a lawyer.
Right. So, but I look forward to reading the book and having you on again.
Great.
The album's out now.
Yes.
It's Negron Generations with your daughters. You gave me a copy. I can't wait to listen to it. But it's available.
Like it.
Thank you, by the way.
Thank
you for coming on and telling your story.
You.
It's been phenomenal. And everybody can get it on iTunes and everywhere else music is available today. Before I let you go, what do you think of the music business?
It's not in good shape.
Yeah.
It's not in good shape, and I don't think it's because of the music. I don't think.
There's still good music.
There's still some good music. A lot of music I don't like at all, but they're not responsible for what's going on. What's going on when you allow people to steal music, and the downloads, they're getting so much so much of the pie,
right?
And that there's no stores. I mean, Beyonce, and I'm not sure what it is now, but I looked at this quite a while ago. With the success of Beyonce, she's been out there 10 years plus. Three Dog Night wasn't even together 10 years. Beyonce sold about 30 million records. We sold 50 in less time.
Right.
So it's not a testament to how good she is or how good we are. It's a testament to the business.
Right.
I mean, it was a great business there. I would not advise my children to get involved in show business if they needed to live off that.
It's a very hard business.
Yeah, it is, and it can make you very dark.
Yeah.
I've seen it really take the heart out of people.
It absolutely can, and I think that I mean, you went through it, right? You feel like you're king of the world, and you have
and
to.
then no one wants you.
And then that's the hard part, right? Athletes go through that. You know,
I know, but I think athletes, they're so young.
Yeah, I think it's hard for athletes because.
Well, it's so young and it's still vital.
Right. Right, and you're like, well, I could still play, and the second they walk off that field, it's over.
It's over,
and they have no control of when that ends.
No, it's an interesting thing, but it's life.
You're a very talented musician, sir.
Man.
Thank you for coming
Pleasure.
on.
Thank you.
He's Chuck. I'm Michael. You're the Terrifics. Until next time, thanks so much for watching. I got to thank the wonderful crew who made this happen. And, of course, that's Dave Kleinstein, Kevin Foley, Rory O'Donoghue, and Adam Holtz. And, of course, I got to thank Zach and Amy, who are also spectacular. Until next time, I'm Michael Artsis. Thanks for watching. Be terrific.